Okay, to start off, I just wanted to ask, how did you become aware of the slavery issue?
I was first made aware of the slavery issue when I was working for a church full-time in youth ministry. And our staff went to a conference here in the Atlanta area called the Catalyst Conference. And it was there that I learned about the issue of human trafficking, and even more specifically, sex trafficking that happens not only around the world, but also here in our own city as well. And I met someone that works for an organization called Innocence Atlanta. And that's where I really started to learn about the specifics here and about how Georgia was in one of the top 3 states for sex trafficking in the country. And so we had him come out and share to our students just a little bit more about the issue as well as the work that they were doing. And from that point on, as I continued in youth ministry, I just tried to stay connected and up to date with what was going on and what the issues were, and helping our students become aware of the issue, but also being able to write the girls letters that were in safe houses, and just do anything that was more action-based to actually engage them in this issue, and to do anything that they could to have a fight in this.
What led you from a place of awareness to taking action with Love Gives Away?
I went full-time in photography from my youth ministry job in September of 2010, and it was shortly after that I had an opportunity to go and shoot for an organization in India called As Our Own, who was rescuing little girls who were born into brothels. Their mothers were enslaved, and they trusted this organization to be able to care for their daughters so that they would be out of the red light district and be out of a situation where they might be trafficked by the time they were the age of 4 or 5. And so I came home from that trip, and I was talking to my wife about just the experiences and obviously the emotions and the weight of just seeing that and experiencing that. And it was then that she told me that there was a senior portrait session I had done about a month before I left for that trip to India. And that kid's father, who I had met during a senior shoot, was arrested while I was in India for purchasing a 12-year-old girl just here locally where I live, just a couple miles away. And so for me at that point, I was just kind of struggling with the thought of how can I go halfway across the world and shoot for an organization over there and use my gifts and my talents as a photographer to serve them in that way, but yet not somehow do something with what I was shooting here at home. And that's where this idea of Love Gives Way came up. Was I'm a wedding photographer, and so I wanted to try to provide an opportunity to my wedding clients where it would become brides and grooms choosing that their love gives way to the recovery and restoration of sexually exploited people. And so all I did was set up one photography package along with all my other options, where if they chose that package, a portion of the funds would be given to a local organization in Atlanta called Wellspring Living to further equip them to do the work that they're doing. And after that, about a year into it, I just saw that there were a lot of other vendors that were wanting to have that same sort of a model, that they had the same heartbeat for justice, especially with sexual exploitation. And so we now offer a team of vendors on our Love Gives Way site that all have their own unique options. And so a couple can hire on one vendor, or they can hire on multiple depending on what style they like, what fits within their budget. But knowing that the money that is spent on their wedding day is going to have a much longer lasting impact than just that one day, but it's going to influence and impact the lives of girls who have been sexually exploited. And now we're at a point where we're trying to actually build this model in other cities around the country around organizations that are combating this issue in their own city. And so to really be able to leverage the wedding day and all the money that is spent on those days, and try to channel some of those funds to these organizations that are addressing this issue.
What would you like to say to those people who become aware of slavery but are not sure what to do now?
I think there's a couple big ideas with just joining up with the fight against human trafficking. I think the first thing is to know that your voice is a huge deal. And I think that we've been able to see that through social media, that raising awareness is part of the fight. And so if you think, oh, well, there's nothing I can do, or no gifts or talents or resources or anything like that, just offering your voice on behalf of these people is a huge deal. And I think that social media has taught us that our voice is important, that it can lead to great things. But I think that the only danger in that is that we can send out a tweet and think, all right, that's it, I've done my part. And I think the goal is to not just use your voice, but then to actually personally engage the issue and internalize it to some degree, where it becomes a part of who you are, that you get involved serving, that you try to think about what gifts you have. Like going back to the Love Gives Way model, we have people who bake cakes, we have people who make videos, we have a DJ, we have somebody who paints paintings for couples based on their wedding vows. And all of them have such different and unique gifts, but they realize that they could leverage it for something greater. And so there might be something that you're good at that you don't think is a big deal, but if you're able to leverage that for something, it can generate funds, it can generate awareness, it can generate momentum to encourage other people to use their gifts as well. And yeah, we might all have this small thing that we can bring to the table, but when we all bring that to the table together, we realize that we're actually making a pretty massive difference in the fight against human trafficking.